The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. Taking the road less traveled is hard. That's why it's less traveled. In his book, WTF, Interrobang, Willing to Fail, Brian Scudamore says, being an entrepreneur means letting go of fear. Letting go of fear takes courage. Courage, he says, isn't an absence of fear. It's a willingness and a belief to face those fears and proceed because you have faith in yourself and your ambition. In 1985, then U.S. President Ronald Reagan posed the question, to young people wondering, where will I go? What will I do with my future? I have a suggestion. Why not set out with your friends on the path of adventure and try to start up your own business? Well, Scudamore did just that. As an 18-year-old high school dropout sitting in a McDonald's drive-thru wondering what he was going to do with his life, he saw a pickup truck with a sign about hauling junk from people's homes, and he said, I can do that. And days later, he was in business. I invited Brian Scudamore, the founder of 1-800-GOT-JUNK, to join me for a conversation that matters about how to build your business, be your own boss, and go on the ride of a lifetime. It is the ride of a lifetime, isn't it?
Oh, I would never pick another profession in the world. The ups and the downs. I'm the guy that's like a kid on a roller coaster with my hands on the way up, and on the way down, and enjoying every moment.
Have you ever seen that graph that goes, how I'm feeling up, down, and time? Yeah. I'm a genius. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm going to conquer the world. I'm a disaster. Up and down like this.
Yeah.
Time of day, 8 a.m. to 8:10.
Right.
It's just like that all day long.
Yeah.
It is like it's a thrilling adventure where you're being pushed to find out where your limits are and then break through those.
Well, I think that we're pushing ourselves as entrepreneurs. You're in business for yourself. You and I, pre-camera roll, you talked about how you love getting up in the morning and hate going to bed at night because you still have things to do. I love every moment of what I do, even when it's hard, because I understand that the mistakes we make, the failures we make will get us to a better place. And I'm very fortunate to have my own business that is successful with an incredible team of people.
And with a lot of learning experiences, shall we say, along the way.
Of course.
But when you're getting started, and I think this is, at this point, you've been doing this more than 30 years, right?
Yeah, 35 years. These
you can look
overnight
back,
success stories take a long time.
Yeah, you can look back on it and go, yeah, I've made a lot of mistakes, and I got through them.
Right.
But at the early part, you don't know for sure that you're going to get through them. All. And so you hear somebody say, yeah, be willing to fail, but it does not feel comfortable. So you've written this book, Willing to Fail. What's the number one tip that you want to share with somebody who goes, okay, Brian, I think I'm willing to try this, but...
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I think an interesting story about how the book came about. It was 8 years, year after year after year, that my co-author named Roy H. Williams, he's known as the Wizard of Ads. He does all our radio creative and so on. And every year we'd go meet him in his Wizard's Tower in Austin, Texas. And he's like, Brian, you got to write a book. Brian, you got to write a book. And I finally just said, Roy, I don't want to write a book. My ego doesn't need a book. I'm not one of those entrepreneurs. And he said, hold on here. It's not about you. What the book will do for others is share things that have worked for you along the way. You've got great stories to tell. Others could learn. And so one of the things in writing the book, I said, what's the title? I'm a branding guy, 1-800-GOT-JUNK. I need to know what's the name going in. And Roy said, just wait till we're done the manuscript and the title will jump out. And what I saw at the manuscript showed me that it was a roller coaster of ups and downs, and so on. But the downs, those failures, all took me to a better place. I learned to realize I was grateful for the gift of those failures because they truly did matter and make a difference with where I was going. So to circle back to what your question was, what would you give as advice to others? What can they take out of that book? What's the one tip? Have the courage, as you said in your intro, to make some mistakes. Say, what's the worst that could happen here? What if I didn't do this? Wasn't it Wayne Gretzky that says you miss 100% of the shots you don't take? Take some shots. Try. see what happens, because it's those failures that become a key ingredient into the future success.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. I get some people asking me, well, where should I start? And I go, just start. Like,
100%.
you're never going to have the perfect plan, but if you don't start, then nothing happens. So I agree with you. So you're sitting there, you're 18 years of age, you see this truck and you go, I can do this. What was the first thing that you did to get started?
Yeah, so I agree 100% with you. Just start and start small. So I started under $1,000. I had my $1,000 bank account, my life savings. I bought a pickup truck, an F-150 for $700, flyers and business cards, and then drove down alleys and laneways. And my quick start was really looked in the classified ads, the old buy and sell newspaper. I looked for a truck because I had the idea. I needed to buy a truck. I found one to buy and built plywood sides on the box so it could hold more junk than just the bed of the truck. And off I went. Alleys, laneways, knocking on doors, introducing myself as Brian from the Rubbish Boys. That was the initial name of the company. And it was one of those things where it was like, it was such a small, easy start. I didn't start with the dreams of this is my big idea that's going to make, hundreds of millions of dollars in business. This was just a way to pay for college. But once I started to see a bigger opportunity and a possibility there, that's when my eyes lit up and went, wow, I'm going to drop out of school for this. It was to fund my education, but I made a bold decision to drop out with a year left in my degree because I was learning more about running a business, doing it versus studying textbooks.
That's starting small, running around, knocking on doors, taking any work that comes your way. It's vital, isn't it? You can't go around saying, oh no, I'm only going to take certain kinds of jobs, or it has to only be under these kinds of conditions.
Well, I think the starting small and doing something just gets you going. It's the old Nike, just do it. Like, put on those runners and just go run around the block. Do something little. When starting our own businesses, as you've done, you take that first step and it might be a challenge to walk away from the comfort of a career, but to go, hey, I'm going to start learning now very quickly by doing. That's what becomes the true gold for us.
How quickly did learning to manage cash flow present itself to you when you went, whoa?
Yeah, well, it was a business where I'd go charge people to haul away their junk and pay my expenses at the end of the day or week to my employees and the dump fees, and it was a simple business. So I managed by cash in the bank.
Yeah.
And my business, the Rubbish Boys, was profitable within 2 weeks of business.
2 weeks.
And then it funded my education through college and then some. And so it was very quick, but then you start to realize as the company grows bigger, when I went from 1 truck to 5 trucks and 11 employees, and realizing I've got payroll and taxes and GST, and it gets more complicated. And I fell behind. And I started to run into some cash flow problems to a point where I had a rubber band around 10 paychecks. So every 2 weeks, I would take a paycheck to myself and I'd add it to the stack till there were finally 10. I couldn't afford to pay myself because I wasn't managing cash flow very well, but I made sure I paid my people first. So you get to points in a business where you're like, this is a roller coaster, but now you're on a cliff. Can I even survive this? What am I going to do differently? And I hired someone, inexpensively to come in who knew something about accounting and got us cleaned up over time. And you learn that you can't do everything in a business, nor should you. And quickly, when you can afford the right people who are smarter than you, who can come in and do all the stuff you're not good at or you're ignoring, that's where some momentum can really start to build in your favor.
So when you first started, of course, you're running around knocking on doors. So you're doing sales, you're picking up people's junk and hauling it away. So you're doing the actual work.
Right.
You're collecting the money, you're doing the banking, you're running the advertising, you're doing all that stuff.
Everything.
And at what point, you talked about you started to have 5 trucks and you hire somebody to do books. At what point do you then have to say, okay, my job is actually managing the business, not doing the work of the business?
Yeah, I held junk for 6 years and did all those other jobs, and it was tough. But I got to learn on the front lines, here's how everything works. And it was an MBA. It was a very quick education in, I've got to figure this out. I don't know how to do this. Who do I reach out to for advice and lessons learned? But it gets to a point where, yes, you need to work on the business, not just in it. A story that I think is important in the history of 1-800-GOT-JUNK was 5 years into the business, I got everything wrong. That was the sort of the lowest point in my career, where I realized I had 11 employees, 5 trucks. I had, they say one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. I had 9 bad apples. I didn't even keep the remaining 2 because I thought, I don't even know, are they tainted by the culture that we've built that wasn't a good one. So the next morning I fired my entire company, all 11 people, in one fell swoop. I said, I'm sorry, I've let you down. I didn't bring on the right people, give you the leadership development and support you needed. And it taught me a valuable lesson. It's all about people, finding the right people and treating those people right. So that was a moment in time where I should have lost the business. I couldn't haul 5 trucks of junk away on my own. I needed to find new employees and rebuild. But I started to pay attention to the type of people we brought in. This wasn't just a job. I wanted people who understood that we were building something together. We had a culture of having fun. This wasn't just hard work. It was work hard, play hard. And once I started to rebuild, here we are today. We're a $700 million business. And we just won number 5 most loved workplaces in America, even though we're based in Canada, which is kind of ironic, by Newsweek. So if I hadn't fired my entire company, if I hadn't failed so badly and gotten rid of 11 people because of my lack of bringing on and managing the right people, we wouldn't be here today in the way we are. And that's where the learning comes from, making a mistake.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. What level of introspection did you have to go through to get to that point? Because, I mean, that's a big confession to oneself to say, I screwed this up.
Yeah.
It was and yet I think it's vitally important, especially if you're wanting to bootstrap up a company.
Mm-hmm. I think people don't want to admit they're wrong, but I knew I was wrong. And if I wasn't going to confront that, I wouldn't have turned it around. If I was the victim, I've got such bad people, they're awful, they just don't get it, they're doing everything wrong. No, I was doing something wrong because I didn't choose the right people, nor did I give them a chance. So I think being introspective as a leader, or even just a human being, I think my wife appreciates when I can be introspective, if I can say I'm sorry and admit I'm wrong, but it's taking the learning and being better next time around. I think the old school way of running a business is, boom, the boss is always right. Mm-hmm. I'm rarely right. I realize we could have done something better, but I stay true to my values and take care of our people, and that's the best I can do.
So you're looking at a situation like that going, oh my gosh, this is the potential for disaster. Mm-hmm. Little did you know that you were actually having good luck. I like to say sometimes that you're looking at your darkest moment. Well, you never know when you're having good luck. Mm-hmm. But it sounds to me like what you did was then change your own mindset and what your goals were to say, well, I'm not just making money to get through to the end of the month. Mm-hmm. We're actually going to build something here. Mm-hmm. And when you start to take on that sort of purpose-driven leadership mindset, how does that then start to change the way in which a company unfolds? Because we see the results in what you've been able to do.
Well, I think it gives me optimism when I can look at a problem and say, it hurts right now, I've fallen. But when I get myself back up and I can see some possibilities out of this that will lead to a better future, it creates instant hope. So I now take literally a sheet of paper out when I make a mistake, when I have a failure or something's difficult. And when I'm ready to get back up, I say, what is the one thing that is good that's going to come from this dark day? And I write that down. And sometimes it's 5 things and it's 10 things. And then I'm fired up. So if I look at someone starting their own business today and they don't have the courage because they're scared of making mistakes, well, you have to fail. When we learn to ski or snowboard, we fall and fall and fall until we stop falling. You make some mistakes, you might get hurt a little bit, but you work through that. And so to young people today, to old people today starting a business, anyone who's new at it, have the courage just to get started, start making mistakes quickly, hopefully not really expensive ones, But think about the contrast from I fired 11 people, my entire company, to number 5 in the United States, best company, best culture, most loved. We only got there to number 5 because of being so low and having learned from that moment. It was a gift.
It's interesting to be able to look at it that way.
Yeah.
But I think entrepreneurial spirit is a gift, and it's not a gift just to the person who chooses to embrace it. It's a gift to all of us, because entrepreneurs, I think, are the heroes of our economy and our society, because they go out and they make new things happen. They hire people, they pay taxes, they support charities. And you, I have noticed through your work, want to celebrate entrepreneurialism as well. You even ran a podcast.
I did.
And what was the point? Like, what is it that you were hoping to achieve by celebrating the success of other entrepreneurs?
Yeah, we did a podcast called The Founders Stories, and it was talking about our founders within our business, our franchise owners, whether they own a Shack Shine or a Wow One Day Painting or 1-800-GOT-JUNK. What learning through mistakes and failures have they had? We have someone that dropped out of medical school to become a franchise partner for Wow One Day Painting and pick up a paintbrush and start to build a painting business in Toronto. It seems to make no sense on the surface, but he got so much joy from running a business and building a great team of people that was more interesting to him than being in medicine. So for me, inspiring entrepreneurship is trying to give people a bit of confidence that you can just do it, and that I believe anybody can be an entrepreneur. But also, as you said, the entrepreneurial spirit's important. We have an entrepreneurially run group of businesses where even someone who does not want to be an entrepreneur, they might get juiced out of supporting an entrepreneur and watching them be successful and knowing that they've played even a small role in that. So for me, I love entrepreneurship. You shared the Ronald Reagan quote, like, what if someone just thought differently and said, if I'm unhappy in a job, what if I could just get out and start something new and take some risks for myself? What freedom could be there? What opportunities could be there for what jobs you create for others? It's exciting stuff.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. So one of the other things that Ronald Reagan had set as a mandate during his presidency was to disabuse people of the idea that the only thing that mattered was success. He actually believed that effort, especially entrepreneurial effort, was far more important, because just by going out and trying, you start to ignite a different path of energy and responses that wouldn't have existed if you didn't try.
Right.
And so how important is it that we also, you go, okay, this is the structure of our business because you've got franchises and whatnot, but go out and try new stuff. How important is that you're giving people the freedom to reach beyond what may look like the boundaries?
Yeah, we have something at our company called 101 Life Goals, and we get our people to imagine big possibilities in their life that they want to make happen for themselves or that they could be a part of, and they write this list of 101 things or up to 101. And we see how the business can help them go to that Super Bowl game of their dream or take their family to Disneyland or whatever it might be. But we get people to think big ideas and dreams that are beyond just material success. But as you talked about success in putting forth the effort, it's the journey of working so hard towards 101 life goal, which is important as well. One of mine on my list was to give Oprah Winfrey a big hug. And I ended up being a guest on her show, 4.5 minutes of fame on stage in Chicago, hauling away junk for someone that she'd highlighted on the show. And my reason for wanting to give her a big hug, I think she's one of the most amazing entrepreneurs that's ever been born. And she's incredible. And I just wanted to give her a big hug. And so there we make it happen by reaching out for months and months and months, trying to tell our story through Oprah. And of course, she covered us, and we got millions of phone calls and helped to make our business. But at the end of the day, I got to celebrate with her the power of entrepreneurship and something we were both connected on.
You wrote another book, though, like BYOB,
Right.
which is build your own business or be your own boss.
Yes.
What's the focus there? And why is it, of value for people to understand that by being your own boss, it's your dreams that you get to realize, not somebody else's.
It's your dreams that you get to realize, and in building a team, what gets me fired up more than anything is when our franchise partners or people on our team put in the effort and celebrate their own goals and dreams, in or outside the business, it doesn't matter. When someone leaves our company and says, Brian, I've really enjoyed my run here, but I'm going off and starting my own company. On one hand, I'm sad to see a great employee go, but I'm fired up that they're now taking the leap and they're starting their own business. So BYOB was really meant to inspire people with some tangible steps that they can take to go start a business. And I think there's two main paths. Someone that starts from complete scratch with an idea and nothing else, like myself.
Really hard to do.
Really hard to do, lots of mistakes. Or someone who does something more like what Shaquille O'Neal, who, famous from basketball, but becoming famous now in business, when he left his championship life of 5 rings, he said, how do I put what I've learned in sports to a new life? And he looked at business and he said, I love winning. I love building teams. I love playing the game. I love keeping score. He goes, business is the same. He said, I don't need to be the guy, building the race car. I want to be the guy driving the race car. So he started buying franchise after franchise across North America in different industries and said, we are going to build winning teams who are going to use a proven formula, and off they'll go to be successful. Again, he didn't need to build the idea. He just said, I want to be the guy driving the car and helping to encourage entrepreneurship. So BYOB, I think, looks very fairly at both options and says, whichever route you want to take, do something, get started, write down your idea, share it with someone, start to socialize it in your community, and then take a step towards getting going.
Well, I think that the encouragement that you had to write the book is important, because when I started, there weren't those resources around, and I was wandering around out in the wilderness. And I think it's really important for anybody, whether they're looking at bootstrapping up or getting into a franchise, to be able to say, okay, here's a resource. Will lead me to some kind of leadership or mentorship, give me insights. And so, I thank you for writing those books, and I hope that more people will read them and embrace the concept of developing their own business. Number one, congratulations on just an extraordinary career that you've had. And number two, thanks for coming in and giving us just a little look inside.
Thank you for having me. I mean, it's amazing. One of the things I love most in life is conversations. And you forget, or I forget very quickly, that we're actually on camera being interviewed here. But our conversation, I enjoy getting to know more about people. And if we can help inspire others to go down a path of entrepreneurship, then very successful. So thank you.
Thank you.